Jonathan Seal is CEO of Regal London. They're leading mixed-use developers, and they're intensifying their focus on three critical areas where they can have most impact: net zero, biodiversity, and creating social value. So, Jonathan, how are you doing that?
We have been thinking about our sustainability strategy for several years now. This goes back before COVID and kind of a few years before that, where we recognised that we needed to understand as a business, what does sustainability even mean? And I think that's where we started our journey, looking at what did it mean to us as a business. We are a fully integrated developer. What does that even mean? That means that we do everything. We buy land, we try and get planning, we build it and we sell it and we manage it. So we're a fully integrated business, and we had to understand where our touch points were and where what sustainability really meant to an integrated developer focused on the London market, delivering mixed-use schemes. And so we broke it down into two distinct buckets, looking at both physical and social. On the social side, which I'll come and talk to you a bit more about, in terms of what does a social impact even mean for Regal, but we looked at the physical side. And on the physical side, we again broke that down into two separate buckets. You have the biodiversity measures and targets that we need to look at, and we did a big analysis around looking at all of our different sites. What we realised was it was very difficult to say we are going to deliver a biodiversity target of X%, because each scheme we have is different, whether we're delivering a residential scheme or a hotel, a part hotel, or a student scheme, whatever it may be, operating in so many different areas of London, which some are more green than others. We had to understand that actually whatever we're going to deliver and develop, we have to go beyond what the government is suggesting in terms of targets and try and ensure that we're delivering biodiversity net gains in areas we're developing. But I was reticent to say we're going to deliver X% across our board, because we don't have a unified development pipeline in that respect. On the net zero carbon side of things, again, that breaks itself down into a number of different areas, both the delivery of the site and the damage, in inverted commas, or the emissions that we're generating to deliver a site. And then there's the operational aspect of the buildings that we're delivering going forward. So we broke that down into those two areas, and we recognised that we needed to go on a journey along with the rest of the industry. Technology isn't here yet in 2022, where we can go and get carbon-free concrete or carbon-free steel or whatever it may be. But we recognise we've got to work with our supply chains. We've got to understand how we're going to deliver our product and be able to measure that and target that. So we've been working with a set of consultants to help us on that journey. We've also brought in an individual into the organisation, a woman called Ghislaine Halfpenny, who's our Director of ESG and Corporate Affairs. And she's very much working with myself to drive that area of the business, hence the level of importance we've attached to it. So on the physical side, we're on a journey. We continue to work with our supply chain and understand modern methods of constructions and how we can bring down our carbon emissions. And we've basically said publicly that we are happy to say that we are going to be driving towards net zero by 2030. That will depend on the technology advancements that we see, but we're certainly committed to that area. On the social side, what does social value even mean? And I know that there is an index called the TOMS, so I'm looking at it here, the TOMS social value framework that sets out how you value social value. We looked at it totally differently. We're operating in different sites in London. We can have an opportunity to open our sites, generate employment, generate opportunities for people within the businesses we're operating in. And because we have a broad supply chain, we have the ability to really try and generate employment through the schemes we're operating on. So that was the basis of, is there going to be opportunities to generate employment through our sites? Could we work with someone that could help us achieve that? And we came across a charity called Building Heroes, set up in 2014, to essentially help veterans and military veterans and their families retrain and get themselves into the construction industry by pairing up their skills with job opportunities. And they were pretty successful in doing that and joined forces with the armed forces to really roll out their projects around the country. And we met with Building Heroes, founded by an individual called Brendan Williams, and we were absolutely blown away in their ability to really give opportunities to people to get them back into the construction industry. And this was about the time of kind of Brexit and thinking about kind of looking at our own staff and seeing that there are going to be at least a quarter of a million people required to get into the construction skills that we don't have today. So we saw that as an opportunity to set up academies live on our sites, but also to work with our communities, with the local people, to give them opportunities to come and work on our sites, get trained, get skilled, get a level C1 certification. I think it's a diploma. I have to get this right, so apologies. They would essentially get a level 1 City and Guilds diploma in construction skills with a CSCS card and level 1 health and safety, and given the core skills of tiling, plumbing, where else am I looking? Plastering, painting, decorating, carpentry, and all these skills. And we're hoping that through osmosis, through being on our sites, learning these skills and trades, engaging with our supply chain, that we're able to generate jobs. And we estimate that we'll have about 75 people cohorts kind of running through our academies on a single site through the life of a project. We'd anticipate that could generate circa £2.5 to £3 million of social value. And we just see it as totally self-fulfilling. So we've launched our first academy in our scheme in Watford, which is a mixed-use scheme of both commercial and residential. And those cohorts will be also visiting other sites that we have, where we'll be able to see different skills in place. So we have a scheme in 1 St John's Wood that is due to complete shortly, so they'll see a lot of metal work kind of skills, etc. They're going to come see another site where we've got a hole in the ground and start seeing kind of what's going on there. And we hope through that process that we can generate some opportunities for those people in terms of getting them into reskill them, retrain them, and get them into full-time employment. So as a package, as from a Regal perspective, that's how we kind of see the future of sustainability, by breaking it down through both our physical tracking and both our social value.
As well as what other main schemes have you got on?
So the next academies will open up in Wembley. We've got a scheme coming forward in Wembley, so that will be in June of this year. We have a new scheme coming up in the city. So we've probably got 3 or 4 academies that will be launched in the next kind of 12 to 18 months. So there's a big pipeline, and we're working hard with Building Heroes to make sure that we're ready for our cohorts to come and join our sites.
Tell me about the developments themselves, and what sort of affordable are you able to deliver with your housing? And
well, one needs to deliver affordable housing in whatever we operate. So our Wembley scheme, which is going to be live on site in the early summer, will be circa 750, 800 residential units, of which over 35% of that will be affordable housing being delivered, along with light industrial. We're very much kind of looking at kind of mixed use and the way we can celebrate different asset classes together. We have a scheme in planning in Orchard Wharf, which is a last mile logistics with the build to rent and affordable housing that's currently in planning. And we have an arrangement with Barnet Council to regenerate the North Finchley Town Centre, which is a big urban regeneration project and something we're incredibly passionate about as a business that only operates in London, hence the Regal London. So we're very London focused.
And that's in partnership with the local authority?
That is in partnership.
That's
in partnership with the local authority, with Barnet, and that is part of a SPD that was entered into several years ago, and we're now working with Barnet to look to bring forward that scheme.
So how do you see the London market at the moment?
If you'd asked me that question a couple of years ago, it would have been a difficult question to answer. I think it's more difficult now. Why? I'm not sure that a business of our nature, we're privately owned, there's not much more that we can't handle, whether it's kind of the Brexit fears, a global pandemic, war in Europe. So at a macro level, I've never known in my career to date such incredible challenges. At a micro level, our integrated businesses mean that we've never had stopped a single day's work during this incredible period of time. That's obviously down to our management team and our staff, but we were very fortunate the government didn't close the construction industry during COVID, which meant all of our sites were able to stay open, and we were able to continue to support the business through challenging times. As we kind of come out of that kind of COVID pandemic and look at the macro challenges, the economic challenges that the Bank of England only last week kind of indicated with rising interest rates and effectively a forecast that we're moving into recession. Is that a global recession? All the challenges that I see globally does actually affect us. But what I would say is that at a micro level, we really believe that by finding opportunities and trying to bring forward-thinking schemes and continue to regenerate this great capital city, that those opportunities continue to be there. There's just been recently the local elections, and there've been, obviously, we operate in Westminster and we operate in Barnet, and there's two councils that have changed from being Conservative-run boroughs to Labour-run boroughs, and we're really excited about working with new administrations. We work across all areas of London, and as an apolitical organisation, I think there should be some interesting changes afoot in terms of how we perceive how people want to work, live and play, and how actually we've seen that with the working from home culture and how the environment in terms of walking out of our front door and having the right spaces and the right areas for people to kind of grow and prosper is something that we're really excited about, those new challenges. So I think we've got real major economic challenges going forward. We're really cognizant of that. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I'd say I was cautiously optimistic. If you ask me today, I'd say I'm just cautious.
Jonathan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.